Sorry about that. But as I was saying, welcome to our March 12th Planning and Zoning Commission board meeting. We welcome everyone. There is a sign-up sheet on the podium. Please feel free to sign in if you wish to speak. If you would also be so kind, if you see your neighbors, come in, let them know that that's there just in case we miss them. I tend to make announcements every 10, 15 minutes that everybody knows they need to sign in. Welcome everybody. If you'd be so kind, my colleagues, to take a moment to review the minutes, read them to yourselves, followed by a motion to approve. Next to last page. I make a motion to approve as written. Second. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. I'm going to switch things around just a minute as it relates to the public comment, because I want to be the first to make a comment, and then we'll officially give our neighbors their opportunity. I personally want to thank Andy for his, what I thought was an unbelievable representation of our board and the board meeting that our commissioners had. He did an unbelievable job stating facts, representing the board, representing the county, and also representing our neighbors. Andy, it was unbelievable. It was outstanding. So,
my main objective in that capacity, I didn't know how the vote would go, but my main purpose in that was telling us how we got there, giving the timeline and how we got to that point, and also taking the integrity of each and every one of us that we went through this process and why we came up with what we did, and how important that our own agendas were not on display, and that was my purpose. I hope I relayed that in a way that was good for us all. So.
it was a good night. Our neighbors had opportunity to present their position, for or against. Commissioners did a great job on letting everybody express their frustrations and talk about the issues. We still have work to do. As a board, and the commissioners are going to work together to give us some directions on a couple of things on how to tweak this so that it is what we all want to be, which is, as close to a perfect or good, ordinance as we possibly can. So my hat's off to everybody who was involved with that night. For those of you who've gone through 5-hour commission meetings, I apologize for you, because that was my first, hopefully last one in a long time. So commissioners, we appreciate what you guys do. If it's like that often, it's, they don't pay you guys enough. So keep up the good work. So that being said, as a public comment, there's a couple approaches that we can take to this. One is never going to change. You have 2 minutes to speak, and please, if we stop here, we're not trying to be rude, etc. But we do have business at hand that we have to conduct. The second issue is, let's make sure that your comments are specific to my agenda tonight, because we do have a packed agenda and we're busy. So So if there are items and things that you wish to speak to, and it's on our agenda, please stand up, speak, etc. We're gonna conduct business. Let's see. I'm gonna check this, please again. Everybody know that I have the sign-in sheet and they're more than welcome. But the first on the list today is Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
If we wanted to speak specifically about our agenda item, can we table our public comment until then, or should we do it now?
We can table it today.
Okay.
We'd be happy to wait and just do it.
Let's
Because first three are all gonna talk about the Silver Ranch
Silver Ranch.
project. We all represent Silver Ranch, so we're happy to wait.
You never know. We may answer all your questions. You may sit there on your hands or.
Well, we just wanted to make sure that we'd have an opportunity to speak on our items, and so that's what we signed up. So,
Oh, okay, well,
so that's the first three.
then I'll tell you what I'm gonna do is potentially skip down to Commissioner Wright unless he wants to wait. Commissioner, do you wanna go ahead and address everybody, or is there something
Yes,
you wanna wait, or?
I can do it now.
I'm sorry, sir.
I can do it now.
Good, please,
Okay.
perfect.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You mind, can you pass these?
Sure.
Why don't you pass those out, if you read this, Tennessee Code 13-7-119-2021. And my amendment to this board a couple of months ago was also with about the lawsuit, also with the sequence of following with updating our laws and our sections on codes with the state. And, with this here, it says should apply with the zoning ordinance on the map as amended that is in effect, so that be able to provide any member of the public with the current zoning ordinance and map in that county. And the legislative body shall authenticate, comply, update, keep, maintain, or make available the zoning ordinance, map, or all amendments as a public record. So what I'm asking is, could we, at this board, make a motion to get our zoning resolutions updated before we do any more review from this board? Have we updated all new resolutions or any new apps to our, zoning?
Mr. Commissioner, that's a good question. We need to, I'm going to put Tom on the spot to know if his, as our consultants, if he knows the answer to that. If not, unfortunately, staff, Lily's upstairs manning the office.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that. We'll discuss this as a board, but what you're asking obviously is reasonable, and if it hadn't been done, it should be done.
Right.
Now, the question becomes, again, if it had not been done, how quickly can we get this process completed, updated, all the maps, et cetera, so that our neighbors can have information if they come to the office as relates to this. So I don't know that question, the answer, but let's start having a dialogue.
Okay, first of all, for those that don't know me, Tom Ski with Southwest Tennessee Development District. I work with Shelton. I can only go by what's the most current document and map that's in our files. Whether or not that's been updated to the current text amendments and zoning map amendments, I can only say that what I've been given on the map amendment side, I've updated our GIS system. The text amendments, I would have to look into. What I will do is I will get with Lily and establish a date where we think it's current to, and ask for signed resolutions from the county clerk. And then based on those text amendments, have those, well, first of all, I would look to see which documents we have in our records, so that I can do a simple cut and paste, but you don't wanna wait for me to type it all. So, but
that's what we're asking for. Or the county to be in standards with the state.
Yes, sir.
That's, and, I don't believe we are, and I don't want us to rush into things when we have that in our amendment. And I know it won't be an overnight thing, so.
I would address two things on that. Number one, I'm not a fan of moratoriums. I think there's some legal problems with that. Number two, just, it is the responsibility of the legislative, not the legislative body, but the community to maintain a current copy. I do try to provide my communities with a current copy and make those edits myself, but not all planners operate that way. Some of them put it back on the community. So I'll work with Lily to see what needs to be done.
So is it this board's responsibility to make sure that's updated? Or
This board's responsibility is to forward amendments to the legislative body. Once the legislative body adopts those or rejects them, then it's really incumbent upon them to maintain, them being the county in this case, to maintain a current copy of everything.
So Tom, just to make sure, you're talking about basically the zoning office is ultimately responsible to,
However,
To-
Hardeman County divides up that responsibility, but yes, it's the local office, the local community that's responsible.
and you have an editable version of our current zoning laws.
I should, yes. We try to maintain two copies. One is a Word document, one is a PDF. PDF is usually what we distribute. Even though you can edit a PDF now, but they can be a bit more.
So let me ask a couple of things.
Yes, sir.
By community, do you mean, can you define community? When you say community, because you use that.
Hardeman County.
So the okay. And then second, as it relates to the commissioner's question, you raised a good point. Given your workload, staff workload, when do you think that we can get an answer on where we stand currently so that we can answer his question? Then based upon that, I guess we as a board need to try to put together some type of timetable which is reasonable to have this updated. And because I don't know what that will look like, given your schedule and given our current situation with the staff.
That's a difficult
Right.
question, given that well, I do have a staff of 3.
No, I'm talking
Me,
about county
myself,
staff.
and
Oh, right. And sometimes they don't get along, right?
They don't get along, and a lot of them's always making mistakes. In
Right.
fact, on today's, staff memo, I noticed a mistake that one of them made, so their time is short. Anyway, let me work with Lily and we'll develop a reasonable time, estimate. Now, based on that, we'll let the county commission and this board tell us that that's reasonable time. But I'm not understanding her capacities and I know what mine are right now, but, it all depends on the condition of the files right now.
Yeah,
And
Commissioner,
how-
you obviously know what we're dealing with in the office next door, so.
No, sir, I don't, do you mind? I mean,
Well, from what I was told, that, Mr. Pierce is no longer, is gonna submit his resignation. So I think we're kind of short-staffed.
when is he supposed to do that?
Friday was his last day.
What's
Last
that?
Friday.
Well, I called human resources today and had no paperwork on him resigning.
Well, and again, as you might imagine, that's a county.
That's, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I just wanna say, I just wanna make sure that we get things updated
Yes, sir.
with the state.
Yeah.
And that we're in compliance and that we can move forward. And I also would like to thank everybody for, what y'all do. Y'all got a hard job and, appreciate you listening to everybody and, I thank you more. And did a good job last week, last meeting, but thank you.
Chairman, just a
Sure,
couple
sure,
things
sure.
at Tom.
Yes, sir.
When you look at your time schedule for editing that, I have a request, rather than just inserting a resolution into the page that goes, integrate that text into the other part of the document, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, what, my style is take the editable version, okay, insert the amendment. With that insert into the text, a couple of things happen. Number one, the pagination changes, so you have to look at the table of contents.
Right.
Number two, I like to put a footnote or an endnote with that, so it references the resolution number and the date it was passed, and a caption in terms of what is addressed. You know, changed side yard setback in FAR district from 15 feet to 25. Just a little caption there.
Are you looking to put it maybe, or are you thinking about maybe at the end of the document having a summary of footnotes that also?
It would be endnotes.
Yes.
That, I tend to like endnotes because it gets it out of the text, people want to bounce them back and forth, they
Sure.
can go to one place. Different people have different styles, that's just my style. Some communities have asked me if I'm deleting a section and inserting a new section, is to draw a line through the deleted section, so it's evident there in the document. Other communities, they say, we don't need all that, we just want what it looks like right now. So it's all a matter of style.
And that's all that I want, authenticate what's there. Thank you for your time. Thanks.
I just assumed, and I do apologize, Mr. Hill, are you with us?
Yes.
And Mr. Legg? Okay, all right, just want to be sure. Again, there,
Her issue was not on the agenda, but it's something the zoning committee might want to take up in the night, because you're losing home builders to something that they were told by the zoning office of
Okay.
not being able to.
I'm not gonna say no,
Okay.
because I do reserve the right to change my mind. So just give us a second, and let us address some of the issues that are on the agenda. Let's see how this meeting flows, and how long we're here, in time, et cetera, and just continue to smile and treat me nice, and who knows what's gonna happen in 15 minutes from now, you know? All right, we only got 17 more minutes. All right, any additional, old business that we would like to discuss at this moment? Tom, anything that you have over there in your folder that you would like to discuss, that's old business?
I'm not prepared to.
Okay, all righty. Well, if there anything comes up, let us know. New business, okay, let's jump right into this. The review of the Silicon Ranch Solar Farm application. Tom, could you do me a favor, please? Can you get that FedEx stuff out your way and join us at the table so we can, all dive right into this? And as always, you guys know my first two questions. I would like to start with Tom, and since we don't have staff here that can give us their perspective from an accounting standpoint, Tom, let's dive in. I'd like to give you the floor right now to discuss this application, and then we as a board will jump in as well.
If I may, have a little bit of liberty here, planning commissions are different, how they want to address things. I've been a part of some planning commissions where the chair will say, you all have the staff planner's recommendations, are there any questions? And the staff planner remains mute. You know, other planning commissions ask the staff planner to go first, some planning commissions ask the applicant to go first. So it's just a matter of process and protocol, and I'm open to however you want to do it. In this case, I was given a copy of 11x17 packet and the application form, and I think I've sent that out to everybody in two different PDFs. sometimes will include illustrations that accompany the document that you'll find on page 2. But they're often hard to read. I have the benefit of the original, plus I have the benefit of the magnifying glass, so sometimes it's easier for me to read. But if in the future, what I'll do is I like to send out the original PDF, because those original PDFs are scalable. You can enlarge them, reduce them, however you want on your own monitor. You can see the detail or the overall picture, depending on what you like. In this case, I was also given a resolution from the building department, dated August 18th, 2015, and instructed that these were the solar farm guidelines that I had to abide by with this application, given the events that transpired. Is that a correct assumption?
Yeah,
Okay.
that is correct.
Given that, I did look at the site plan. Again, there was a typo in my memo here, but, in essence, Silicon Ranch is wanting to locate a solar farm at 1125 Lenore Road, in a parcel that they have, measures approximately 907 acres. It's got illustrations in terms of, you don't have an illustration of the issue. You have the site plan and, the property assessor's image, showing the property. Property does have flood hazard, zones on the property, but none of the solar farm itself is contained within any flood hazard zone. However, they would need to probably check and see, what the National Flood Insurance Program requires in terms of meeting those, flood hazard, regulations. That would be up to the building department to coordinate with them on that. Based on this resolution, the solar farm, as I can determine, met all the requirements in terms of, I didn't see the height of the fence, but I saw evidence of a fence, distance from residences. In this case, most of them were marked on the site plan as 500 feet, even though 100 feet is all that's required. The setbacks were properly labeled, and so therefore, based on meeting those, I'm recommending that we approve the site plan. The planning commission always has options. You can approve the site plan as submitted. You can approve the site plan contingent upon various factors that you may want to see. I caution you to do that because, where the BZA has some flexibility to address, buffering, be it, landscape buffering, noise, additional safeguards, planning commission is really kind of restricted in that regard. You can, deny the site plan. In any case, and Shelton and I both agreed, that started putting this on our recommendations, that if you make a motion, that motion include the applicant's name, the location of the site plan or the plat, the nature of the request, is it a plat, is it a site plan, preliminary plat, final plat, whatever, and the reason that, you're approving with contingency or denying that application. Many cases, you'll find that minutes simply reflect motion to approve, all in favor, moves on. If the matter were to go to court, the court doesn't have any evidence as to why that decision was made. There's no finding of facts, there's no material evidence there, so therefore, Shelton commission to include at least those 4 items be included with the motion. Again, to reiterate, I move to approve the site plan based on it meeting the regulations as found in the resolution dated August 18th, 2015.
Any comments?
Chairman, I got a couple.
Sure.
And this kind of piggybacks on what Mr. Wright had said, we've got a set of zoning rules that are semi-incomplete, we don't have a final version, an official copy, if I can use that term, for zoning. I would like to get those. That's the first thing. The second thing is, we got an email about 30 hours ago with a PDF that was not legible. I came up to the zoning office yesterday about 2 or 3 and got a hard copy of the half size. So at most, we've had 30 hours to look at full service site plan. I would make a recommendation that we defer until we have ample time to review the site plan as provided. We've got a half size set based on the full size set, I'm assuming it's legible. The PDF was not. But to defer it until we have adequate time to review the site plan. That in conjunction with the fact that our zoning regulations, I think we just had a couple of minutes past last commission meeting, get those included and make sure that we have a current, true, updated, final version of our zoning regulations.
And I hear you, but please understand that any update to our zoning resolution has no impact on that 2015 document because their application was submitted.
What version of the zoning regulation do you have? I don't have.
When you say what version of,
That's all I have.
that's all.
You're talking about is that the 2015, resolution that was in the book, I guess?
So then.
Yeah, I understand that they're playing by different, it's a different set of rules than what a version that we had currently yesterday would be. But are there any other items in that zoning regulations that would apply to the site plan that aren't in that section 5 or whatever section? So that's my thought, is, and really it goes back to the lack of time, we've had this for less than 30 hours. They were on the table when we got here, and we had adequate time to.
I agree the timing issue as it relates to reviewing this document. Well, we do have staff, our consultant, who has gone over it and has approved it. So, and I'm just going over both sides of it. Any additional comments?
I agree. Just so that we can be sure that all that there's money in there, I mean, he said that he was not positive, he said it was updated correctly also, what Bobby wrote it. So we're not sure that everything's in there that we need to be in there. Well, is that not right? That's what Bobby was saying.
Well, Commissioner, I don't want to put words in your mouth. We've got a set of resolutions that are on the table dated 2015. Our 2 solar applicants' application was submitted based upon that resolution. So are we thinking that our ordinance have not been updated, or the resolutions have been updated prior to 2015, or are we that far behind?
I believe we are,
Holy cow. I was thinking.
and I might be wrong, but what I believe we are. But that is just my opinion.
So that may not be, what you're saying, that may not be the current guidelines in which we're to base our approval of their site plan.
Right, and hopefully it is, but I don't think any of us are for sure.
My only frustration in this process, it has nothing to do with any management, is that at some point,
we've got to close this chapter. And I agree, I wanna do it right, but we're going on 2 years now, and we're still discovering something. And, I can sense their frustration, but I also know that we get paid $50 a month to make the best decision we can based upon the information that we have. And I wanna make sure that we have all the information. Any other additional comments as it relates to this? Well, before I turn the floor over to somebody else, because now it's really critical that we go through this exercise, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that our resolutions are up to date as quick as possible. We don't need these, if we do agree and vote to table this to next month, I pray we're not in a situation that we cannot give these companies a decision on what direction to go. I'm gonna be extremely disappointed if we're sitting here again doing this.
Is it viable to even have a work session to go through, do a page turn on this site?
Richard, I've been asking for work sessions for 2 years, and Andy can tell, we all have. So we've been trying to do work sessions for years. So I hope at some point we can. Mr. Commissioner.
The board, we asked for a work session also with the solar farm. We can't get one. I don't know what it's gonna take. I don't know who's gonna have to be pushed. But until we come together, nothing's gonna be done. We asked for it to the last commission meeting, to the mayor. Let's get a board together. Let's get this worked out, move on. Nothing's been done.
If it's simply a notification thing or a meeting, whatever the language or the definition of an open forum or meeting, whatever it is, I think we can determine legally. If we can have a work session, I'm sure other communities have work sessions, and we can do a page turn, and we can go through these cycles.
Well, I agree, but I also would like to do that as a group.
Absolutely.
And that's where I think the curveball is, whether we can. But before we even do that, we've gotta have Tom, his staff, and what staff we have go through the resolutions.
Yep.
Because, we can review the site plan, make our notes, but we can't compare it to that document until he, his staff, and our staff have an opportunity to do just that as well. I'm sorry,
Where's our greater liability to review a set of plans?
I agree.
Error zonings or vice versa?
I agree with you 100%. I'm not arguing that point, I agree with you. Any additional comments as it relates to this? Mr. Tom?
If I may add, when I did ask, what regulations apply to the solar farm, this is the document that I was given. So,
And out of transparency, sir,
yes.
who gave you that document? Okay.
And it basically amended the definitions, and then it amended the provisions in an FAR district regarding uses permitted on appeal.
Don't we have another section in there specific to site plan? There's a chapter in there specific to site plan. And I believe site plans are also included in a couple of other sections.
Correct.
Based on industrial or FAR or something like that.
The site plan chapter should not include specific requirements for a site. Their site plan requirements in general are not specific to a use, usually. That's a good point.
Commissioner, can you assist your colleagues in this? Can you speak with the city attorney on our behalf?
The county attorney.
Excuse me, county attorney on our behalf? Because we have been requesting to have work sessions as a group, so that when important issues like this matter, and everybody has expressed their frustration, we just got this. There are occasions when business comes before us, as you obviously know now, that we need to get together a group discuss it and have time and talk with the staff, get opportunities to talk with the commissioners, so that we're prepared when we walk into this room to conduct county business. And we've been singing this hymn for 2 years now, and it just doesn't happen. And it puts us as a board and the county in a bad position that could simply be resolved if we had other opportunities to meet outside this. If you can't come in, Zoom. If you can't Zoom, call. But there's no reason why we can't sit down as a group and do some of the things that we're asking to do for a work session.
Conference call and a Zoom meeting are permissible, conduct a workshop. I would caution everybody that you can't deliberate on anything, but yes, you can discuss it.
It's educational purposes, and I know things have happened and come a long way. I've seen meetings and doing that stuff a couple of years ago, and they looked at me like I was crazy. There's no reason why we can't have Zoom meetings at all. So, if you insist, I appreciate it. Contemplate this. I'm gonna open it up to our colleagues from the solar company. In any order, please. I don't have the. And in this regard, let's have a dialogue. We'll get to a point where I may stop you, but feel free. Let's just talk.
Sure, no, that's fine. My name's Jim Murphy, I'm with Bradley Law Firm, I represent Silcon Ranch. And basically, I wanted to talk a little bit about your comment about you just getting this material. I mean, we filed this material several weeks ago, so we're not sure where the breakdown is. But, you know, that's something that, from a process standpoint, we're not responsible for. We submitted our plans, we met your deadlines. You know, we followed the zoning ordinance that we understand applies, and there's no one that's ever said there was anything else that applied. And so, as Mr. Skeen said, we meet all the requirements and we think we're entitled to approve. So, that's basically that's our position on referral. I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, it's your call, but, I mean, this is the third month. The first will be 3 months trying to get this thing right because of poor notices, now poor providing plans to you on behalf of the county that we're not responsible for. We got deferred last month because staff didn't put us on the agenda of the planning commission. They wanted us to go to the planning commission the Board of Zoning Appeals first, which is directly contrary to your ordinance, and we've actually had that issue litigated, and the county lost that issue in a prior solar park matter. So you have to consider it first before the Board of Zoning Appeals, then the Board of Zoning Appeals. So we're in a position where we keep getting ping pong back and forth because the county, this time we can't be on the Board of Zoning Appeals agenda because the county forgot or failed to publish the notice that said we were gonna be on the agenda. So here we are, you know, ping ponging back and forth for things that are not our fault, and we're in compliance. And so, you know, we're trying to do this the right way. We've tried to work with all the county officials to do this right, and every time we get a roadblock that it's not our fault. And so we feel a little bit abused by this process. So that's our position. Our position is you should approve this because we meet all the requirements. But if you feel the need to defer it to get more comfortable with that, you know, I don't think we can object. I mean, you ultimately have the votes. We'd like for you to vote yes, but if you don't, we'll come back at the next meeting. But I will say this, I don't think we'll come back another meeting. I mean, we'll go into court and ask for a mandamus to require this action, and, you know, I don't think the county wants to get into court for that, because this is just not acceptable the way they operate, ping pong us back and forth. If there's anything we can give you that you need, that you haven't gotten from the county, let us know. We'd be happy to get you copies of everything. But, you know, I don't know what the county does or does not give you, so it's hard for us to know. We filed what the county told us to file, you know, what, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
In person, drove it down here.
Yeah, we delivered it from Nashville. So, I mean, we've tried to do everything we can.
February 20th, is that when
That sounds right.
this came across email about 2 o'clock yesterday morning.
Well, I understand, but we're not supposed to email you with.
We
I mean,
drove
that's-
3 hours to deliver it and print it off, large copies for everybody.
So that's, my point is, if you're having problems internally, we shouldn't be punished. And that's what we feel this is going. So, anyway, I'm gonna let them give you a little more detail about the project and answer any questions you've got about the project, and then, obviously, y'all have the ultimate call.
Sorry for the distraction, we brought a blow up, just one extra version, and, I'll let my colleague Max kind of suffer and try to set up there, but as he does that, before I dive into a brief Silicon Ranch overview, which I know some of you have heard 18 times, some of you have probably heard 0 times. Any questions about what Jim just went through as far as our timeline? So, I'm gonna take a moment here to expand it, just to give the full background for everybody. Some people I know are new to hearing about this project. But this started in November of 2022, when we heard that Hardeman County was looking to revise their solar ordinance. And the planning director organized a solar workshop for members of the industry, members of the community, and elected officials, really anybody, to come out and advise on this. We came out, it was an 8-hour session all day, and Mr. Sheldon was there. And we got to a point where we were pretty much in agreement on what the new ordinance would be. That was in November. Then in December, the planning commission recommended a moratorium on solar for a year, to wait on the TASA report that came out in September. We were under the understanding they were gonna recommend a new ordinance that meeting, but it was a moratorium. January, the county commission approved the moratorium with the stipulation in there that in 9 months there would be a new ordinance in place, or at least in front of the county commission. We were told that because we were under contract with TVA for our project, there was some interest in carving us out of the moratorium. Sure enough, at the March county commission meeting, we were successfully carved out. In that meeting, again, the stipulation is there will be a new ordinance in place by September or October. In that meeting, Jim Pierce, the planning director said that in 30 days there could be a new ordinance. Somebody else said in 60 days there could be a new ordinance. We waited and waited. 9 months came and went, continued to wait for almost a year. Went ahead in January and submitted our application. Also in January, not from the planning office, but from somebody else, a friend of a friend of a friend, we got a copy of the new ordinance, solar here. So we waited on it. We had to submit, as we were. We came here in February to be in front of the planning commission and the BZA. We were told we were on both agendas, only to arrive here and be told that we're not on the planning commission agenda. There was a lot of confusion over the process. Do you do BZA first, planning commission first? So we scheduled a call with the county attorney and the planning director to make sure we were all on the same page of how to move forward. And we were told by the planning office that we were on the planning commission agenda and the BZA agenda for today. Only to learn late last week that we're not on the BZA agenda because the proper notice wasn't put out. And so here we are today. We drove these plans down 3 weeks ago, and here we are today. So that is just me echoing, one, explaining to some of you why you have to keep seeing my face every month, but also echoing Jim's comments on kind of how we feel about a deferral. Any questions on that? Okay. Yes, sir.
When were these delivered with the half sheet?
Yes, sir. Great. Well, a little bit about Silicon Ranch, and then I'll sit down and let Max go through the site plan. Max, I'm going to help you get this set up. Don't you worry. We're based down the road here in Nashville, Tennessee. One thing that differentiates us from other developers is that we're not a developer, we're a developer, owner, operator. So we own the land that we build on instead of leasing. And once we build a project, we've never sold one off in our existence as a company. More normal plan or business plan would be to lease the land, build the project, and sell it off for somebody to own and operate for 20 to 30 years. So we buy the land, and with that, we have a commitment to economic development in the communities that we're in. We also have a commitment to American manufacturing. All of our panels are We have an agreement with First Solar, so all the panels for this project will be from First Solar, which is an American manufacturer. They're soon to open a factory in Alabama that even says some of these panels would become from nearby. Forgot can I have a presentation? Thank you. A couple things about the local impact of solar. One is land management. Some of you have heard me talk about our land management practices since we own the land. We feel like we have a pretty incredible opportunity to leave the land better than how we found it. We adopted these principles from a rancher in Georgia named Will Harris, who rotates his cattle and grazing away on his ranch that regenerates the soil and brings to life the biosphere of the soil and the native grassland. And we have repeated that process by grazing sheep on our solar sites. So too early to say if sheep will be on this site, but we're very optimistic. A couple things that I think it stipulates in your code that we address. One is noise. Solar farms operate at 500 feet away from a solar inverter. It's about the same as a whisper, the same level of decibels. And then at night, of course, there's 0 decibels because the sun's not shining, the system's not producing the power we're operating. Odor and glare, I think it also wanted us to address. There is no odor on a solar farm, and glare, there's an anti-glare coating on all of our panels. The other way I think of it is our panels are designed to absorb sunlight, not reflect it back. So glare is not observed. One other item I can list off real quick, and then I'll pass it off to Max. One is tax revenue. This project, over a 40-year lifespan, we've calculated would bring $5 million in local taxes to the county. Typically, we see that as about 10 times more than what it would otherwise. So I think we did the math on this, and this parcel, you can look it up, over a 40-year lifespan would contribute about $500,000. $500,000 versus $5 million in 40 years. We've conducted studies on
Is
top.
that a net present value for, $5 million for 40 years, or
Is it a what value? I'm sorry.
net present, I mean, how did you come up with that value?
Somebody smarter than myself did. I can tell you that they typically calculate it over a 40-year lifespan because, I'm gonna botch this a little bit, because of the way that the equipment is valued. It has a 40-year lifespan, and so that's why they default to doing it for 40 years. And we're always hesitant to break that down into how much per year, because the way it's structured, that can fluctuate sometimes, and sometimes it contributes $100,000 to the county in a year, and then $250,000 the next year.
Appreciations don't come into play as it relates.
That's all calculated in there. I don't have the formula to share with you all, but it's a tax estimate. I'm happy to share more information on it if you want to find more for you.
Let's do this, let's bring that up, let's dive into this site plan issue.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna help you.
Yeah, so, we know y'all kind of requested a larger blown-up site plan, so we brought one for a better visual aid here in addition to what you have. I'm just gonna kind of cover the highlights. Kind of to speak on the regulations, we based this site plan to meet every regulation in the solar ordinance, 2015 solar ordinance under which we applied, as well as all the site plan requirements in the ordinance, which I believe you're maybe talking about in other areas. So that does hit all the chapter 18 and chapter 21, I believe, requirements for a site plan. So kind of higher level things here. As Tom mentioned, we are in compliance with all the setback requirements, namely 100 feet from property lines. An additional is not a requirement, but we saw it fit here and we were able to accommodate 500-foot setbacks from residences. Setback from, with 100-foot setback from all navigable streams, as well as avoidance of all FEMA floodplains. So there should be no issue with any sort of floodplain building. We were able to, and you can see that on the site plan as well. We were building around all of those floodplain areas. Additionally, this particular parcel, y'all might be familiar with Peavine Road. That's kind of the nearest main road here. We're offset of Peavine Road over 1,500 feet. So there would be very, very little to no viewshed of this property from any public road, in addition to vegetated buffer, which is part of the requirements as well.
So that's kind of the main, highlights of the site plan. At full tilt, panels are, 10 feet tall, and potential for agrivoltaics, at the site, those would be 12 feet tall at full tilt. So as you all might know, panels will shift throughout the day to follow the sun, to track it. And when I say full tilt, that means kind of during the middle of the day, when they're at full tilt. But at the beginning and end of the day, they're more flat. And then this is just an additional handout here. I have letters from Tony Kirk at BEA and from TVA as well, to show their support of the project, to really drive home what it means to them. Tony has been a big proponent of the project. One of the main benefits for BEA specifically is a requirement for an upgrade to their system in order to accommodate this project that is not coming at the cost of any taxpayers in Hardeman County. A very substantial investment into their system, and then kind of a letter from TVA discussing kind of the specifics of their the project with them. You know, this is as Maury mentioned, a project that's already been contracted with TVA. As he also mentioned, we own and operate these projects. We currently own this property, so we're very, very invested in this community and in this project, and happy to answer any other questions, but that's kind of the high level discussion for the site plan itself.
Are there any short-term milestones with the contract on the initial TVA?
There is a milestone, there's a document that has milestones on there. There's things about like construction and, you know, permitting, things like that. So yeah, we do have, in our contract, we do have milestones in there.
One of the things that Tom brought up is the height of the fence.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, our standard fence height on all our project is 6 foot tall with 3 strands of barbed wire on top, which is what's called for in this solar ordinance. It's let's see, it's the first K1 would be safety fencing requires at least 6 feet. Additionally, at least 3 strands of barbed wire, which is our standard. And we do have in the full site plan, there's a spec on the actual fencing, so you can see that.
You wanna point out the detail for the fence in the plans? Sure.
If you wouldn't mind.
Maybe in a second. I believe these are at the end typically.
Around the front board, Max?
Where's that?
Is the front board on that?
No, it's here, it's C301. It's like the second to last page.
What are the dimensions there on that detail?
You can see it on here, 6 foot with an additional 3 strand. If you pitch very end of the actual site plan itself. C301. That is all the schematics for all the things.
The detail that I've got shows a 5 foot fence.
Six foot here.
And only just 1 foot there.
Right, so that's this strand on top. I thought, here, I'm gonna grab your copy, since it's a little smaller, if you don't mind. Very easy to grab.
Got 5, you got 5, the gate's 5, showing 5 plus 1.
This one, the actual site plan here, that's showing 6. That might be the actual submitted site plan here, I can show you. Sorry, this is a little unwieldy. This 6 foot fencing is our standard, and this is what we submitted under. Here you go. I'm not sure of that.
You maybe see a little bit of concern there with the backside that been provided versus the full size that you have?
That's,
Not necessarily, agreeing with one another?
that's the first I've ever seen that, but the actual site plan itself is the thing.
There's a lot of pictures.
Yeah, everything matches in terms of the site plan requirements, and I'd be happy to go through more specifics if you'd like. In terms of setbacks and, you can see on the site plan, there's a safety fencing, there's gates and locks. The setback shall be 100 feet from all property lines, there's that's shown on the site plan itself. Evergreen buffer.
Let me stop you for a second, because I'm a little perplexed, and I know how this is gonna go, so I'm just gonna jump right in with 2 feet. How do we have a full set of drawings? Let's say one thing, and then this document here is supposed to be a duplicate of that, and the documents that we're given to review says something totally different. And I know you're not in a position to answer that, because you're gonna make a comment, but it just doesn't help that the package that we're given doesn't match that. So what we,
If I'm not, is that
And-
C301?
and I do
It's
realize,
dated. I'm assuming it's the same date that's on the margin of the full size.
and I do realize that we as the counties have that full set of drawing for quite some time.
Right.
So,
Can you look at what's the revision date on that C301 on the page?
February 20.
220.
That's weird, cause I've got one dated 2/20 that's got 6.
Should we check in the other packets?
this right here, so.
That's just.
That's a printing error.
But how can it be a printing error?
But my point is, my point is simply to bring up what Richard is saying.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, no, I see it.
So, Richard, let me take this a step further. So we go into a meeting, Tom, and we all got this,
Sorry about that. Thank you.
because it's an individual copies. So now we need to take this in and compare this to that, the full set, and everything else.
I mean, I can tell you, I know, whatever it's worth, that's, the 6 foot is our standard. silicon rail.
I'm not debating that, I'm not debating that, but this is what has to happen. And Commissioner Wright said, we all said, we've gotta have a work session. So that we can sit down, you guys are more than welcome to be in the room, so that we can ask questions and get answers at that moment, so that we can resolve this, because again, it does us any good. Richard looks at drawings every day, all day for them. I'm in the construction business, but there are those of us who don't do this. Not all day. Yeah, right. Well, his day is 18 hours, so 8 hours of those days is, him being. But my point is this. I know it's not what you guys want, but we're gonna get you there. County has no choice. But we're gonna get you there the right way, so that all of our neighbors and we can feel good that we got all the i's dotted and the t's crossed. The problem that this board has is that literally, I think I got it a day or two before that, because Tom and I have been on the phone talking, etc. But even then, I'm riding around in my Chevy truck looking on my computer. That's how busy I am. Has nothing to do with you guys. I understand you gave us that document 800 years ago. But long enough to know that we got mistakes.
Chair, let me just respond to what you said, because I think we might be arguing over something we're not really arguing over. Okay? We're happy if you wanna have a work session, sit down with us and go through this. But what I would ask, please, is that you properly notice it as a full meeting of the planning commission, and at the end of the meeting, you vote up and down, so that we can not have to come back 2 or 3 times to get that done.
This is what I can commit to you, sir, as chairman of this board. If Mr. Tom his staff and our staff, gets us the information, and there's no if, because they will, as it relates to our resolutions. We will make sure that we have those documents in hand, so when we come to meet with you guys, there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it, there's nothing that prohibit us from moving forward and addressing your mentioned items.
My only concern is we can't wait months.
I agree 100%.
If we can do that in, you know, a week or two, you know, something like that. I mean, obviously, you don't need Tom to find all the ordinances between now and the time we meet. He just needs to find any that relate to solar, because really, that's all that's at issue.
I think it behooves us to have a completed current zoning map. And that's, we're not talking, we don't provide resolutions every month for the last, since 1993. So it's not, you're not talking about 31 years of resolutions, but there are gonna be a dozen or so that we need to make sure that are in this. And some will apply to solar and some will not.
It's our understanding that there will be none other than the one Mr. Skeens has that applies to solar.
Yeah, they're duly adopted resolutions that need to be incorporated into the document.
The difficulty that we've experienced is getting the staff time that's needed to do that. Not Mr. Skeen's staff, but the county staff to get that done. So again, we're happy to work with you, but at the same time, we can't tolerate long delays, because the county can't do its part. So I hear you. You know, the fact that these plans have a mistake means we're gonna have to get you a new set that don't have those mistakes. We can do that, but those can happen really quickly. What we need is the county to do its part so that we're not here, you know, 2 or 3 more times going through this same exercise.
This is what I can tell you as it relates to Commissioner Wright asked us a question. We're gonna do our best job to answer his questions as expeditiously as possible.
Appreciate it.
Unfortunately, sir, I cannot tell you if that's gonna be a week, 2 weeks, or a month, simply because I don't know if there is anything missing, and it takes time. But I will assure you that Tom, as our consultant, his organization, our consultant, and the staff that we have will dedicate the appropriate amount of resources to get to the bottom of this issue as soon as possible. And I would assure you, for whatever it means, will be calling Tom, calling Lenny, and in contact with our commissioners to make sure that we get that information so that we can move forward and act on county business, which is your business. I can definitely commit to that. But I'm not gonna lie to you, sir, or even pretend that I can see a crystal ball and
I don't expect
just to placate you.
No, I
tell you it's
don't
only 2
expect
weeks.
that. All I'm saying is, if things go the normal course,
I understand.
we will not be here in a month.
And I assure you, they won't go to normal course.
That's my concern.
I agree with you.
Well, Mr. Murphy, I see where you're coming from, and from you representing the company. However, Mr. Moore and I will both, we went through one of these application processes, and about 30 days later, we were both we got sued.
Yeah.
Over the process. So, you know, from a private citizen of the review that we did, so that's the reason we want to pay attention to detail and make sure, and I understand you represent your client, and they have a lot of money at stake in this project, they want to see it get done. I understand that completely. Hey, y'all got grandfathered in, but like I said, we got the potential to be sued from 2 different sides, and I mean, I know you know that.
No, I do, and I understand that, and I appreciate your perspective, and I want you to do it right, and if you get sued, you've got a good defense. I hope we're not the ones suing you, that improve our plan so we don't have to sue you. But at the same time, if things happen the way they've happened for the last 2 or 3 years on this project, this doesn't happen in a timely manner, and that's, I'm not blaming you because it doesn't have anything to do with any of you, it's really more on the county side. And if the county can get their part done, then I feel pretty confident that we can, come to the next meeting and go through this.
I think we've got enough people involved in this process that we will ensure that everybody gets their part done.
That's all I can ask.
Have a meaningful meeting.
I appreciate that, that's all I can ask.
And that would include a page turn, not a site review, a site review that involves Silicon Ranch.
We'll be happy to come, sit down with you and turn pages and do whatever you
And I do just have, if I have one,
Sure.
one more question, I'm wrong. Just in general, kind of curiosity for the engineers, on each of the sheets, you've got a note that says for permitting purposes only, not for construction. Are there gonna be any changes between what you permit and what you construct?
No, there wouldn't be any plan changes for this, it would be, this is what it would.
Okay.
It will be fine.
So what's the value in adding that note in the bottom right-hand corner of every
That's
sheet?
just, that's a standard thing, I mean, that's the standard thing that.
Tell your CAD guy to get rid of that?
I could ask her to, I don't know their exact processes, but I would also say that if there was any changes to it, any substantive change, that's accounted for in the zoning ordinance, that it's required to go back for approval. If it's a lot of times if it's insubstantial, and, you know, if there's like a, you know, small speck here, usually the footprint and the major pieces stay the same, but, yeah, we'd be required to go back to the county and let them know if there's any change.
Let me say it a little bit differently. The next revision of drawings that you submit to us, make sure the drawings say final.
Okay, I can ask that if they, again, I don't know the.
Make sure the drawings say final. The engineer works for you, right?
Yeah, there are engineers on our team that would work with us.
Make sure they say final like I'm.
Okay, I will ask that.
Okay.
I'm also, I'd be happy to, if you have other questions at this point, I know you all wanted to go through, it, but we're here right now, and I'm happy to answer questions right now, because.
Or if there's anything, if you've got questions about that we need to come back with at the next time, if you tell us now, we'll be able to, when we turn pages, be prepared. So-
To be clear, a lot of us have gone through and have heard, so really what we need is, this, like you said, has nothing to do with you. We need that resolution. We need to update our orders. We need to sit down. So I don't wanna spend any more or your time. Let's just make sure that this is clean, that there are no mistakes. The commissioner's given us some things that they would like for us to address. We'll take that information and we'll meet with you and we'll get this resolved. I
Mr.
assure
Chair,
you.
can I just ask one
Please,
question?
by all means.
So that we don't have a problem again of you not getting these on a timely basis. If when we revise the plans and bring it back, is there a mechanism where we can actually get them to you directly as opposed to having to wait to come to the meeting? I mean, we would much rather you have them.
I don't want to circumvent the process, so I'm gonna defer that question to our consultant, because typically, I would think you bring that to the county, and the county turns it over to your staff, am I correct, Tom? So,
And we're happy to do that. I just, if there's a way that we can help facilitate you having them earlier, we're all in on that.
I don't mind, this is what I don't mind, I don't mind you bringing the document like you did, but please CC Sheldon and I. Send us an email,
Okay.
so that he and I both know that the county has it, so that we can make sure that the county gets it to Tom in his
Do
office.
we have your emails?
You will,
Okay. I'm gonna give you my card.
absolutely.
We'd be happy to do that, okay? I mean,
Can I recommend that you guys take on the scanning process and send that as a PDF? I don't know if there's time.
I mean, we can bring it half size.
Okay, because the PDF that we got here this morning was not legible at all. So it's probably file reduced or something of that nature, so.
Because, again, I took the half copy, scanned it, sent it out. I didn't have the original.
If you would maybe let them do that, so that it's a clean, yeah.
Well, we're happy to give you a PDF copy, that's easy. And we're happy to bring enough original half sizes that everyone can have them. If you need our help to distribute them.
Do you have a time frame in which you think you'll have this back to us?
With
The county.
6 foot, yeah, I mean, we can do it whenever, as soon as y'all can meet, we will make whatever.
Well, let's, give us, what's today, Tuesday? Think we can get those revisions done?
It all depends
Back to
on,
about the end of the
it all
week.
depends on if his engineer's gonna take final off, right?
Right.
You gotta give him 3 days. I'm just.
Give us a
We can
week,
take
we'll have
time
it to you in a week.
All right.
We'll have it to you in a week.
I'm sorry, I've got to ask, can I ask one more question, just to make sure, because we put me a lot. I'm confused with what Commissioner Wright brought up, a sit-down session, how are we playing into that? How is that our site plan
It's not, that's their,
That's y'all, and then we come back at the next planning meeting.
or earlier if
Or
possible.
some work session.
Or a work session that we.
Not a work session, that would be a call meeting.
A call meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, a call meeting, which will be in the format of a plan request meeting.
Be prepared to just sit down and talk and answer questions.
Yeah.
And if
Where you
that
put your
gets
shoes and.
punted,
look at this.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
If that gets punted beyond next month's planning meeting, can we do the planning meeting instead? To have that as, we know in a month, at least a month, we'll be back instead of it getting,
The next regularly scheduled meeting will be the fail-safe.
we'll be the fail-safe.
Yes, that's
So
what
it's
it's.
more-
Yes.
So to do a work session or whatever, it's gotta be 14-day notice.
Right.
Okay.
It's not like this meeting was not.
Okay.
Right, but this is a regular scheduled meeting, so.
Yeah, we're basically saying that we can't have a work session, it will default to the April, commission meeting. And we'll sit down and hammer that out. That may be a limited, agenda, so that we can, afford everybody enough time. So commissioner and staff and colleagues, Tom, let's look at that. There may be some things that, we should defer, depending on the agenda, to make sure that we allocate enough time, to our new neighbors here, soon to be new neighbors.
One more, is there any other, I don't believe there's any other applications needed, aside from just what we're talking about in the site plan, correct? I just wanna get everything out right now while I can, while we're all talking. I don't think there's any other submittals other than what we're talking about this plan.
You've submitted 2 applications, one to the planning commission, one to the BCA.
Correct, that's right, and the fees and all that.
Fees were paid, it should be good, but I can't speak for the planning office, building office.
You'll confirm that and let us know, Tom.
I'll talk with them.
And make sure, an updated review day is included in how to go.
I got a question. You said that, that y'all set this up on a 40-year plan, and that you've never sold a farm, that y'all buy your property and you've never sold it. How long has Silicon Ranch been to?
Since 2011, and the 40 years, our PPA on this is probably less than that, it's probably 25 or
Yeah,
20,
25.
20 or 25. That's just how they calculate the taxes for reasons that I couldn't
It's
dictate
for
to you.
the useful life of the.
So you're saying 25 years instead of 40 years is what this is set up for?
That's our current
That's the
PPA, power purchase agreement with TVA.
That's the term TVA will give us today. That's not to say TVA will give us another term at the end of that, but that's all the TVA will do today. The 40 years is based on, that's the useful life of the equipment. So it would be unlikely that we would take the equipment out before the 40-year period is up, because it's still got, 15 years of useful life over that period. So again,
So in 25 years, it'll be up for renewal?
with TVA, that's correct.
Let me ask this question.
And we expect they would renew it, but, who knows what happens in 5 years. We might not have to sell it to TVA, we might be able, by that point, sell it directly to the local power company. Right now, we have to go through TVA.
Let me ask this. I hear what you're saying, that you never have, in your 11 years, you don't plan. But is there a scenario that if you do sell, you could possibly sell it to an entity that is taxes in, and all this tax savings and stuff and money that we're talking about, revenue generated that's coming in the county becomes a moot point?
Right now, there's no, I guess we could sell it to the county or some other governmental entity that might.
Well, I mean, outside the county, TVA, for example,
Right.
does TVA pay?
But I can just say, I addressed that at the county commission meeting, I don't know what's possible, I have never heard that rumor, so to speak, or that question, other than here. There seems to be somebody spreading that, we have no plans to sell it.
Well, no, I'm not saying you haven't, I haven't talked to anybody, but I also say, well, you're looking at, the county needs tax revenue. We know that. I mean, we can't continue to tax, the landowners. We're gonna, that's a mess if we continue down that road. But also, one of your big selling points is that you're gonna create $40 million, $5 million over X amount of time. Well, if we're, and the commissioners who are represented by, the the citizens, and we're out here selling this, how this is a good deal because it's gonna bring this money in, and 2 years from now, you sell this, and that revenue goes away, then they're gonna have a bunch of angry people knocking on their door, because they went around and told everybody that this is gonna work.
Oh, I would.
And, you know, now, I'm not in politics, it doesn't affect what we do here, but that commissioner,
Well, I
that
would-
goes away,
Sorry.
that's,
Well, I was just gonna
that's
say,
problematic.
that would be problematic. The TVA is not in the business of buying solar farms. I mean, right there is buying the energy from this. In general, renewable projects in the country, the burden is put on the developer, owner, operator to design it, to arrange the land purchase or lease, to get permitting and to build it and operate it, but these large grid operators are not in the habit of buying these projects.
And the, you know, the electric cooperatives and those folks have traditionally stayed away from being in the ownership position. They just want to buy the power. They don't want to deal with it.
Right.
Because it's not something they traditionally do. Now, could that change? Yes, but, I mean, when and how is impossible to predict. If we can just tell you that currently, that's the space that we're in, is neither TVA or the local power systems are interested in doing this themselves. They want to hire a developer like this to meet with you, with all the other counties that we meet with, and go through these processes. And then all they want to do is buy power. And so, for them, they don't need to own it, they can just buy power.
Okay,
And it's a competitive market, so they've got price competition between the various developers to keep the price down.
thank you, sir. Any additional questions? Any additional comments from you guys? Alrighty, well, since we have a new guideline on how we to make a motion, because there's 8 things we need to make sure that this covers. And Tom, would you be so kind to go over that once again, please?
Yes,
So
sir.
that we do this right?
Again, I ask that the motion, include the name of the applicant, property location or address, the nature of the request, and the reasons for approving, contingency, or denying, or deferring. In this case.
Okay.
So that's.
Is there a motion to approve or deny the application for Silicon Ranch Solar Farm? And that address is 1125 Lenore Road, Littleton, Hardin County, Tennessee 38052. And do you have a motion for or against? And please state your reason for such motion. Got 2 train of thoughts. We have Tom, who, prior to us pinpointing that there are some issues in terms of the drawing. Other than that, everything seems to be okay. We have more ordinance that's outdated. Richard brings up some great points. We have another one of our colleagues who indicated that he agrees. My dear colleagues who have not spoken up on this matter, please do so. And if not, let's see a motion put forward, please. No comment, is there a motion?
Make a motion to defer until, site review plan, page turn, and, obtain the current official copy of the building regulations.
Do we have a second for that motion? So that we're clear, there's 2 reasons: cleaning up the site plan, and then also the zoning information that Commissioner White and
Richard asked that be brought before us so that we can make sure that everything's updated, in our ordinance. All in favor, please notify by saying aye. Aye. Is there any objections by nay? Ayes have it, motion passed. Motion is denied. Oh, excuse me, your motion passed, sorry, motion passed. Sorry about that. Okay, review of Heather Breeze subdivision plat. Breeze subdivision plat. Tom, please.
Okay, the plat that has been submitted, you found on page 5 and then close up on page 6. Again, sometimes these things can be really difficult to read, and therefore I included a enlarged, zoomed in copy, of the subdivision itself. The parent tract is approximately 38 acres. They're located at 3299 Mecklenburg Drive. In essence, the way they've got it labeled, lot 1 is going to measure, 1.15 acres, and lot 2 is 1 acre. Excuse me. Sorry about the interruption. My understanding that this is part of a revocable trust. I'm not an attorney. I encourage the family to check with their attorney to make sure that this property can be petitioned. Some trusts allow for it, some do not. That's outside of the realm of this body's expertise. So, the problem I had with the plat is, number one, the surveyor failed to show the setbacks on lot 1 and lot 2. They did show an easement. The easement does meet our subdivision standards in terms of it being a 50-foot easement. I question whether or not lot 1, given the easement, is a buildable lot, because in this case, when you do have an easement, the setback is measured from the easement, not from the property line. So I'm just wondering what that building envelope is gonna look like on lot 1. And then number 2, I really had preferred the surveyor include the parent tract with this, because in essence, this is a 3-lot subdivision. You're taking 1 lot and creating 3. And the remaining parent tract is not shown on the plan. I understand what they're trying to do, but again,
They did
they should have shown.
do a good job.
Correct.
Is there anybody here representing this proposed subdivision? No, we've got a subdivision plat before us that just doesn't cut mustard right now. Is there anybody here that represents the subdivision plat? Yes.
I'm sorry, but, I don't think there's enough notice for everyone to be here to represent what is on your guys' agenda. What's the problem?
No, that's not an adequate statement. This item is on our agenda. They submitted it, so this particular item, if it's here, that person knows it's here. So I'm specifically asking if there's a person that represents this particular subdivision. If they're here, I'm gonna give them a chance to speak, because right now, they've submitted something that in a couple of minutes is not gonna pass.
And if I may, if there is nobody here to speak on behalf, my recommendation is to deny it, because if you table it, then state law intervenes, and after 30 days, the plat becomes legal. So we'd have to either approve it as submitted or deny it.
Let's open the floor for comments from our colleagues. We have a recommendation from Tom that application be denied. I strongly support his recommendation. Any other additional comments? Let's put those forth and have a motion, please.
I guess they'll still be able to come back and clarify whether
missing items that need to be addressed. I think they may find out too that they're gonna have some problems if they try to develop that 1.15 acre lot. Big from the easement.
What's the total lot size again?
Lot one is 1.15 acres, lot two is 1 acre.
What about the?
And that's taken away from 30, so it makes it.
Is there any way we can get staff to maybe give these comments and your, you know, your recommendations to, Ms. Heather's, to them so that they can maybe,
I can ask you.
That's why I was asking that
Yeah.
question, because I was
Yeah.
gonna suggest that she comes in, meet with Lily, meet with staff, so that
You
they
can
get
maybe
a
get a
better,
feel.
yeah, better understanding, because it looks as if it's just, they just didn't know.
absolutely.
Because their surveyor should have provided the information that Tom's requested. And so there's a disconnect somewhere.
One thing that, if I may, moving forward, I'm gonna encourage our office, with all of our planning contracts to move to a 30-day submission deadline. And that accomplishes two things. Number one, in the event that there are already issues, it gives us adequate time to look at it. With a 14-day notice, the item is submitted 2 weeks prior to the meeting. Staff may not have the time that week to look at it, they look at it the next week, they try to get the comments out to the planning commission, to be disseminated. And there's no wiggle room there in terms of working with, it's either an up or down thing, or sometimes, as for example, what happened to me last night, is we met that guideline, deadline, but the building official was able to secure a plat with the corrections right before the planning commission meeting. Well, I was not aware of that, so, you know, it's somewhat embarrassing when when you make comments to deny and it's been approved, or excuse me, it's been altered, and everything needs to be, you know, with the regulations. But again, it also, serves notice to the planning commission that at this meeting, you'll have an idea of what's on next month's agenda.
So you're talking about getting agendas out 30 days in advance, is that what?
I'm talking about the deadline being 30 days, but agendas to the planning commission will still be a week before the meeting. And I apologize for this not meeting that, but it gives more lead time to review, get with people, make corrections, make sure that they understand what the meeting is, time, they need to show up, all of that can happen, and it's not just rush.
So let me ask this question. As it relates, you talk about meeting times, public notifications, et cetera.
Mhm.
Was this meeting put in the local papers, and did we do anything according to what's required?
I can't answer that because I don't know exactly, but I can tell you that state law does not require this meeting to be noticed. It doesn't have to be in the paper. You can publish once a year when the regularly scheduled meeting is, and that is sufficient. Now, in the event that we have a land use plan, major road plan, something like that, that's gonna require this body to have a public hearing, and that's a 30-day notice.
Thank you. Do we have a motion as it relates to, item B, the Heather Lease subdivision plan? Let's move forward and conduct business.
And again, this lady will be able to resubmit, I'm assuming.
Yes, sir.
I hope staff will tell her, hey, you know, give the problems with the reason that we denied. And also, I would hope the staff would, inform her it would be beneficial to her to
Tom, according to the new set of guidelines, in terms of making a motion, I don't see an address for this particular applicant on, I'll put my glasses on, I've taken them off, and I've yet to see one, so. Anybody?
We could reference, well, it's 3299 Mecklenburg Drive.
32, okay. 3299 Mecklenburg Drive.
That's what I have, yes.
And what city is that, sir?
It's in the county, but it's right outside Baldwin.
So we use Baldwin. All right, agenda item B, the review of Heather B subdivision plat located at 3294 Mecklenburg Drive in Bolivar, Tennessee. They have their subdivision plat applicant for us. We have a recommendation from Tom, our consultant of Denal. Several notes should be made that we suggest that county get in contact with this applicant and have her meet with county staff so that they're better prepared on the April or whenever they decide to resubmit this application, so that it includes all the required documentation that we need for an approval. Is there a motion to approve or deny this application?
I'll make a motion for denial.
And the denial is based upon, incomplete information, cite, the, surveying and the other items that, Tom mentioned. Do we have a second? All in favor, please notify by saying aye. Those who opposed, please say the nay. Ayes have it, motion approved. Okay, any properly new business to come before us this afternoon, this evening? So let's digress. She's still smiling, so that's good.
1 minute, that's all I'm asking.
So please state your name as you approach the
Okay.
podium.
My name is Tina Bellamy.
Hi, Tina.
This really doesn't benefit me at all. I own Big Buck Resort, which is a campground. And state law allows people a couple things, I mean, issues, so when we're updating the zoning, because there's a big conflict, they're told things that the state allows, that they say the county doesn't allow, but I don't know that there's record anywhere stating that. But two things I'd like when we're updating to look for and to address, if it doesn't say, is the ability for them to live in an RV while they're building a house. The state laws allows that, and in my case alone, which honestly, this takes my revenue, so it's not benefiting me, but they're buying outside of our county, in counties, because everybody else will allow them to stay in an RV while they're building a home on their property. So that's the first one, and the second thing, I totally get not letting barns or sheds or whatever be in front of your house in town, but in the county, they're getting denied for building a barn or a shed in front of a house on 40 acres, and that makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like I said, the state law allows it. They're saying somewhere in the county, like in the 80s, but I don't think this has been found or known, so when it's updated, if we could just find out one way and address these things, I think it would be really good, because I'm gonna be completely honest, guys, there's thousands of people staying in RVs, working at the Ford plants and all these places. I mean, these are not, someone made a comment, no, they're not, they're making $100,000 a year, and they're building houses, and I'd like some of them to actually come to our county. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Before we close the agenda and close this meeting, is there any other neighbor that wishes to speak? Seeing that there are none. Any new business? Any old business? Any birthdays? Anniversaries? All in favor? You guys drive safe. Thank you very much.